All right, we're going to do section 5B now, which is, should you believe a statistical study? Okay, I know all of the sections are my favorite, but this is definitely, if not my most favorite section, it's up there because it's so useful in real life, especially now with all of this science stuff going on with coronavirus. It's very, very useful. Climate change, it's useful to consider, okay, is this study a real study or is this kind of fake? What's happening here? So in this section, we're going to look at all of the different things to question or to look for. And I want you to question everything all the time. Even if everyone in the world tells you it's true or it's a fact, you should always question it. And you should really look at studies and figure out, okay, is this a real thing or not? This will also be helpful if you're trying to decide who to vote for, or if what people, on either side of the political spectrum are saying is true. Ask them for their sources, ask them for their study, and we're gonna look through all of the different things to look for in this section. I love this section; it's fun. Let me erase. How are you guys doing? I hope you're doing well. Let's talk about some of the things to look for, things to question, things to question besides everything, or look at everything. Okay. Number one, what's the goal of the study? If there's a study that's trying to persuade you of something or trying to get you to think a certain way, you definitely want to look more at the study. If you can tell they're trying to make you believe something one way or the other, even if you agree with it, you definitely want to make sure that their goal, well, if that's their goal, you definitely want to make sure that it's a valid study. And we're going to talk about what that means. Number two, who was studied? I can write a question mark here too. This one's fine. We want to make sure there's enough people in the sample group, right? If you're talking about representing all of SMCC and I sample 4 people, do you think that's a good amount of people to sample to represent all of SMCC? No, of course not. Right? If I sampled several hundred people, that might be a little bit better. But you want to think about that. Another thing you want to think about is, remember we did that question about eating habits and we said, okay, well, it wouldn't be great to sample a sports team because they could, only eat high calorie foods or something like that. You want to ask the same question here. Who was studied? How did we come up with this sample? We want to make sure it's fair. Number 3, this is the absolute biggest one, and it's the easiest way to look at a study and figure out, the source. Who is the source? Or who paid? Where's the money? It's all about money, right? Who paid for this study? Who is it? If it's a study about climate change and it says climate change isn't real and it's funded by an oil company, right off the bat, you just toss it in the trash. That doesn't work. If it's a study about coronavirus and it's funded by a major pharmaceutical company, I would have some questions there. It could be okay, but it's something you'd want to definitely question, and you'd want to look more into it and make sure they're not trying to get you to believe anything. Number 4 kind of goes along with number 2. Is there any bias in the sample? Is there any bias in the sample? These are all things. Is there bias in the sample? What I mean by that is, did they only pick one group of people? We would call that selection bias. Did they only choose one group? Did they only pick the athletes? That would be selection bias. What's the other one? Participation bias. This is an interesting one. Participation bias. What that means is if someone cares a lot about the topic, then they're more likely to participate, whether they have strong feelings one way or the other, right? If someone sends me a survey about climate change, I'm super interested in that, and I have strong feelings about it, so I'm more likely to participate. You might not really care. You might be like, I don't really know enough, I'm not sure, or you might be very interested in it one way or the other. If you don't really care or you're not that interested, you're probably not going to participate, right? There's no benefit to you. It's just a survey. But I'm interested in it, so I'm more likely to participate. So people that are more likely to, let's say, take a survey would fall under the category of participation bias. Okay, those are the first four. Make sure you have those written in your notes. This is an N. It looks like a weird letter. I'm going to do 5 through 8. We have 8 different things to look at with studies. Number 5, this is a good one too. Ambiguous wording. What does that mean? Ambiguous wording. What does that mean? Exactly, what does that mean? Most is an example of ambiguous wording. Several. Well, how many is several? Most. Many. If I say, tell me what percentage of people represents most. Some of you might say over 50. Some of you might say 75%. That's most of the people. Those are both correct answers. What about 90%? Would that be most of the people? Yeah, of course. So we don't know. Do they mean 50%? Do they mean 99%? Those could all be most. What about several? How many is several? If I had several brownies after dinner tonight, how many did I have? 4? 5? 6? Several. We don't know. Just several. Right? That's ambiguous wording. What do these words mean? Number 6. Variables to consider that could change your results. A great example. Let me just write this down. Variables to consider that could change your results. You're going to love this one. Every semester, all of the 100 level math classes like ours, anything that starts with a 1 or above, takes just a quick 3-question assessment. It's a problem solving thing. We do it every semester. We collect all of that data and we see kind of how we're doing. What if we did that this semester? Do you think it'd be weird? Right? Do you think it might be off from all the other semesters? And why? Well, because all of us are at home, right? This is a totally new learning environment for me and for most of the instructors. There, of course, are some classes that are online, but for most of us, this situation has never happened before. This is a variable that will likely change the results completely, right? By the way, we're not doing that assessment this semester. It's a math. We're talking about math. All of the mathematicians have figured out there's no point, right? Our data, it would skew it. It would be way off. So we're not even going to bother doing it. Number 7, look at the wording. I think this is kind of general, but I think what this means is just, again, kind of consider, are they trying to get you to believe something? Make sure the wording is clear. Make sure it makes sense. Make sure if they are trying to get you to believe something that you consider all of the other points. And number 8. Oh, we actually had 9. Sorry. Number 8. Are the results fair? I would almost add, no, that's good. Number 9 is what I wanted to add. Number 9. Are the results fair? I would say it goes along with number 9. Conclusions. Do they make sense? I'm going to say, do conclusions. I think those two really go together. Make sense. I would put these two almost in the same category. Do the conclusions make sense? Are the results fair? Okay. If something, is said and either it's just too good to be true or, something just seems off, trust your gut a lot of times. It's probably right. And you can look at some of the other points that we just talked about to see, oh, it was funded by this organization, or, oh, yeah, that doesn't make sense. Someone that I know just posted on Facebook something along the lines of like, yeah, while kids are out of school, McDonald's is going to give a free Happy Meal to every kid under the age of 5 every day. Okay, does that make sense? First of all, that would be a lot of money that McDonald's is shelling out, right? Also, like, how could you figure out really quickly if that was true or not? Go to their website, right? Go to their website, go to their Facebook page. It seems a little too good to be true, right? It would be nice, of course, but that would be a lot of money for McDonald's, and it could even close them down as a corporation. But you could do a quick check. Just go straight to the source. Go to their website, anything like that. So many things in life today could be solved by just thinking, does this make sense? And doing a quick check on a website or something reliable to that company or fact or anything like that. Okay, that's a lot about things to look for. This is a pretty quick section though now. So let's go through the worksheet 5B. I'm going to erase the board. Please read through the first one. So based on the given information, do you have reason to question the results of the following hypothetical studies number 1 through 4? Spoiler alert, you do. You have a lot of reasons. So questions like this on the test that you will see are, again, kind of like a, open answer. They are open answer questions. So I want you to tell me why. I'm going to need sentences. And if I say give 2 examples, make sure you give 2 separate examples. A lot of times you'll be able to give 3, 4, 5 examples, but 2 is fine. If I say 2, you can give 3 just to make sure you're good. But just make sure you are answering the questions that I'm asking and not just saying bias or funded. I just need a little more from you. But if you have questions on that, just let me know. All right, let's look at number 1. A study financed by a major pharmaceutical company is intended to determine whether its new cholesterol drug is more effective than similar drugs of competing companies. Right off the bat, what's one thing you know right off the bat for number 1? I'm going to list some things. Financed by the pharmaceutical company. The pharma company. I'm abbreviating. It's financed by the pharmaceutical company about their own drug. Of course they want the drug to do well.